welcome to another episode of Dirt Road Salvation. I'm Joe. This goofy little guy here, that's Tank, or Goofy as some of you have heard me call him. But anyway, so I wanted to sit here, and before we got to all the fun stuff, the good shots, the driving, and the beautiful scenery, and just, talking about other stuff about how the trip's going, I wanted to share some information about what I've learned since I've started my journey here with PAM cartage carriers. And the number one thing I've learned is you want to make sure that you get your paperwork turned in for all of your loads that week that you've ran and completed by Friday at midnight, because the cycle runs from Saturday to Friday. This is what I was told, and that's what my pay stubs have, or my settlements have shown. So if you don't get it in by then, it goes on to the next week's settlement, which can make, if it's a big run, that can make a big difference on your settlement for that week. And that's a lesson people learn the hard way. So learn from my mistakes. Number two is just watch your fuel economy. I mean, don't drive like a bat out of hell. Try not to have a lead foot. Don't smash the accelerator every time you go to take off. You should just kind of picture an egg underneath that accelerator and just gently ease into it so you don't crack it. You know what I mean? So that way you're sipping on the fuel, you're not guzzling it. Because your fuel economy is going to play into my next point, is watching your fuel consumption, or not your fuel consumption, but watch the fuel you're buying. Pay attention to how much you're paying, know what your discounts are and where you're at. Double check the fuel solutions they send you with what you're seeing with the tools that you use to find fuel and the cheapest fuel prices, so that way you can actually make sure you're getting your best bang for your buck and for the fuel you're buying, as well as you also want to calculate in IFTA and all that good stuff, which is a whole nother topic for a different day. But yeah, those are the three big things that I've noticed and I've learned a lot about since I've started doing this, is where to buy fuel, how much fuel I need, making sure I'm getting the most fuel economy out of my truck as well as being productive, and making sure that you get your loads sent in by Friday before midnight, not midnight 01, not 0001, not 0 dark 30, but midnight, if you want it on that week's settlement. And that way it's been completed, turned in, and it can count. Because you can have a great week, you can run all those miles, but you get that one last load that doesn't hang over onto that week's settlement because you send it in at 0001 or 0 dark 30, you might just break even that week. But overall though, I can at least say that everything they have told me so far has been true as to what I'm going to get paid, what I can expect, what my expenses are going to be. Nothing's been hidden. There's just a steep learning curve whenever you come from a company driver into something like this. It takes a little bit to get into the swing of things, which is why I don't recommend that you come into this broke with no money in the bank. If you don't have any money in the bank, this might not be what you want to start out with, because it takes a couple weeks to get into the system, get the swing of things, to have a good learning curve, or if you have a situation like I did, man, you get your truck, you run for a couple days, and boom, you break down. And then you're down for a couple days. And then you gotta, start all over again. I mean, now thank God, there was an act of God involved, and we got that whole thing squared away, and we got that taken care of. But, all that stuff adds up. Life happens. It will pay a lot of time. It will pay for itself if you can make sure that you have some money saved back before you jump into something like this. It's not a decision to take lightly, because you make the wrong decisions, it can hurt you, and if you make good decisions, it can make you. So I've been doing this for, I got my 4th week settlement today, so 4 weeks, and I can reflect that there's a lot of learning that I've needed to do. Haven't been lied to, haven't had nothing bad happen that the company has Ham Cartage Carriers has done a great deal. They've held up their end of the bargain on everything. Just I've had a lot to learn. And as it's progressing, and, you know, I'm running, I'm getting good miles, I'm doing things of that nature, I'm learning the little tips, the little tricks, the little things to be able to be just that little bit more profitable at the end of the week. So, but the only thing I can say is I should have asked more people more questions before I jumped into this, because the more information and the more knowledge you have when coming into something like this, whether it's a lease or getting your own truck, the more knowledge that you have coming into this, the better off you're going to be. This is not something you want to jump into when you're fresh out of the gate, fresh out of school. You don't want that. Go be a company guy first. At least get at least 2 years under your belt to where you can figure out where things are and how to run your truck and how to keep moving and stay profitable. You know, and study. Learn your freight lanes. Learn how to find fuel. Figure out what things you can use to be able to find the cheapest fuel where you're going along your route and what the IFTA is and all of that stuff. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. We're going to get into the fun stuff. We're going to get through, we're going to get some shots, we're going to get some videos, probably do a little bit of recording here and there of some other little cool places if we get to see anything cool. And me and Tank, we'll see y'all later on down the road. So, alright, well, anyway, so we finally just stopped for the day. I got done with my post trip, and while we're on the subject of other things that I've learned and have actually come into perspective for me, is it really hits home as you're putting away these little bits and you're saving money for that maintenance account, that these pre-trips and post-trips that everybody has always ragged on you about doing, as you should be. Don't be that guy who's not doing them, because you're supposed to do them. Anyway, that's a topic for another time. But, it's kind of, it really has driven them home as to how important they are. I've always done them, but they're more important, especially to me now, that I'm, paying the truck note, and I'm the one who's paying for the maintenance on this thing when it goes down and everything of that nature. And, every week I've got to put that money aside in my maintenance account to make sure that, something does happen that's not covered under warranty isn't going to cripple me or put me out of business, like that flat tire the other day I had, because I managed to pick up the only freaking nail and the whole truck stop, and by God, it couldn't happen to anybody but me. I just have that kind of luck, if it's gonna happen, it happens to me. So, but this whole there's such a vast learning curve when it comes to this. Even if you've done your research and you've studied and you've thought about it and you've read this and you've read that and you've done this and you've done that, and you feel you're absolutely ready, it's still so freaking easy to come out here and go completely boom upside down from, you do something simple like you take too much fuel on here, or you miss this, tire blows out and you miss the deadline on this and you don't get that load in on time to be able to make this pay period, because cutoff's Friday at midnight. That's just an example as to what could happen, but it's a whole different ballgame when you start putting things in perspective like this, because, if you've got wife and kids and family and things of that nature that you're supporting, not only is your pride on the line with the success of your business, the livelihoods of your spouse and your children are also riding on the success of your business if you're you know, if your spouse is a stay-at-home parent, or you're a single income house, or, you know, whatever your situation is, you know. It's one of those things that I do realize that depending on everyone's situation, this isn't going to be, it's not a thing that's for everybody. Everybody's situation is different, whereas mine, it works, but, you know, for somebody else it might not work, you know, or, you know, 6 months down the line, I could go completely belly up and fall on my face and fail. But if I do, you'll know about it. So, you know, if this is something you guys are looking into, I mean, watch where I'm going. I'm calling it as it is, the good, the bad, tank. I don't know what it is about my dog, but he hates minivans. I don't know what it is. Every time he sees a minivan, he loses his freaking mind. I don't know if he just thinks that everyone that drives a minivan's a bad person or what, but every time he sees a minivan, he loses his mind. But anyway, so, I mean, yeah, even if it's one of those things, it's something you're thinking about doing. I'm not trying to sell you no recruiting pitch. Tank. It's okay. It's just a minivan. It's okay. But, I mean, follow along, tag along for the ride, and see where it takes me, you know? Fail, succeed, you'll know. But on the other hand, one bit of advice I've always taken is, you know, nothing in life that's worth having comes easy. You have to work for what you want, and with that being said, you can't be afraid of failure. You can't have success without failure. Failure is only a part of growing and learning and maturing. The best things in life that we can earn are the things that we have had to work and grind and struggle for. And there's no shame in failing. You can fail 100 different ways, but that 101st time when you look at all them past failures, boom, you've learned from each and every single one of them failures, all 100 times. And then the 101st time you get it, that's it. You got it. There's your success. So, if you're out there and you're striving for something, and you're afraid to pull the trigger on it because you're afraid of failing, just stop it. Because that failure, all it's going to do is just cripple you and hold you back. So, anyway, that's enough of my rant. That's enough of my advice and the things of that nature, talking about what I've learned so far in my 1 month of doing this. So,